Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Do not underestimate the Omicron variant, the warning from public health experts. 92 countries miss World Health Organization's 40% vaccinated. And later in sports, Thompson Hera voted best female worldwide. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, public health experts are this afternoon warning Jamaicans not to underestimate the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Associate Professor of Public Health at the University of Technology, Dr. Alverston Bailey, says the country's low vaccination rate and the high transmissibility of the strain make the threat of an Omicron outbreak very concerning. Sandy Williams reports.
Africa reported that it has passed the peak of the Omicron outbreak, with scientists there claiming that the number of deaths and hospitalizations were much lower than during the Delta surge. Locally, public health expert Professor Winston Davidson says this means that the Omicron variant is less dangerous than the Delta strain. However, he warns that the Omicron variant should not be taken lightly.
We should not underestimate any virus or any viral infection, especially to persons who are vulnerable, persons who have comorbidities, persons who have cancer, persons who have what you call are immunocompromised. These conditions will in fact create negative aspects and vulnerabilities for not only infection, but also will create the risk of death.
Last week, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, reported that Jamaica is among 5 Caribbean countries that have not yet vaccinated 40% of their population. Associate Professor of Public Health at the University of Technology, UTech, Dr. Alverston Bailey, says the presence of the variant in Jamaica is very concerning, especially given that it is highly transmissible.
Jamaica presently has the second lowest vaccination rate in the Caribbean. We are experiencing presently a vaccination rate of approximately 20%. This is unacceptable. Because of the low vaccination rate, it makes us very vulnerable to the Omicron variant, which in fact spreads rapidly in the unvaccinated.
Dr. Bailey says the strain mostly affects the young and unvaccinated. Therefore, he says it is important for all persons to get vaccinated to avoid increased hospitalizations and deaths. Sandy Williams, TVJ.
Meanwhile, Director General of the World Health Organization is this afternoon blaming politics for the slow rate of vaccination and the high number of deaths from COVID-19. With 2 days to go before the end of the year, the Director General also said he was disappointed that close to 100 countries have not been able to vaccinate at least 40% of their population. He was speaking at a press conference this morning. O'Shane Masters reports.
According to Johns Hopkins University, over 5 million people have died from complications associated with COVID-19. The Director General of the World Health Organization, WHO, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, says this could have been avoided if there was equity.
Narrow nationalism and hoarding of health tools, including masks, therapeutics, diagnostics, and vaccines, by a small number of countries undermined equity and created the ideal conditions for the emergence of new variants.
He says it's even more disappointing that the 40% target for vaccination has been missed by 92 countries. This, the WHO Director General says, was due to limited supply of vaccine doses going to low-income countries, vaccines arriving close to expiration dates, and without syringes to administer the doses. He also noted supply and distribution issues for at least 20 countries.
40% was doable. It's not only a moral shame, it costs lives and provided the virus with opportunities to circulate unchecked and mutate. In the year ahead, I call for leaders of government and industry to walk the talk on vaccine equity, both by ensuring consistent supply and helping to get vaccinations actually into people.
The WHO is now aiming to have countries which are members of its organization to vaccinate approximately 70% of their population by the start of July 2022.
This is the moment for leaders to banish the politics of populism and self-interest, which are derailing the COVID-19 response and threaten to undermine the response to the inevitable next disease X. While 2021 has been hard, I ask everyone to make a New Year's resolution to get behind the campaign to vaccinate 70% by the middle of 2022.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Jamaica has recorded more than 200 new COVID-19 cases in 24 hours for the first time in months. According to the Ministry of Health, on Tuesday, 276 new cases were reported, pushing the overall case count to 93,226. The positivity rate has also increased to 17.9%, up from Monday's 14.6%. 5 more people have died from the virus. The death toll is now 2,469. 1 death is under investigation. Meanwhile, there are 87 people in hospital with the respiratory illness. 4 patients are critically ill and 16 are severely ill. There are 951 active cases on the island. In the meantime, 110 more people have recovered from COVID-19, increasing the recovery count to 65,442. We go now to a developing story where residents have blocked a section of the Grand Spain Main Road in St. Andrew from this morning. They are protesting the fatal shooting of a man in the community by police Tuesday evening. Now, the deceased man is identified only by his alias Podman. The police say the man was killed during an alleged confrontation. However, residents are refuting that claim.
One go down there go kill the youth. If the youth commit himself, if they carry him in, let the law deal with him. You cannot kill the youth, man. Come out and say, come on, man.
You can't kill a man in the house. We are cooking food, him baby, him grandfather, him wife. And you kill him in the house and with a shootout. You see the man on him Davis, him to go away, him to move. We don't want him in here, so Grand Spain run sweet. And the man come across problem in the Grand Spain.
Now, the residents say they will continue to protest until they get justice. And in the meantime, the police insist the deceased man was involved in a confrontation with lawmen when he was shot. Commanding officer for the St. Andrew North Police, Senior Superintendent Aaron Fletcher, says the deceased was a known criminal in the area.
A man called Tadmar, who we have evidence shot and killed a man on Sunday whilst he was performing some work, some construction work in the community, and fired shots at another man also. We have eyewitness statements to that incident. Now, the police, having gotten information that the man had returned to his place of abode, went and was confronted, shot at, and fatally so. And this is what is transparent today. A show of support for criminality and lawlessness. Evidence of the magnitude of social decay that has taken place in our society, which will not be supported or tolerated by the police.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. A man was shot and killed this morning when he attempted to rob the Scotiabank branch in Sam Sharp Square, Montego Bay, St. James. TVJ News was informed that shortly before 9 o'clock, the man who was armed with a knife entered the branch and held up one of the tellers. He was shot by the security guard. Now, services at the branch have been suspended. And we go now to the story of an elderly woman who died in a house fire in St. Elizabeth this morning. She has been identified as 65-year-old Ina Wright. It's reported that about 12:30 a.m., fire was seen coming from the house in Cedar Spring, northern St. Elizabeth, where Miss Wright lived alone. The Santa Cruz Fire Station was called. Now, following cooling down operations, the body of the elderly woman was found. A neighbor says Miss Wright was a quiet lady.
She was a member of the community, a very quiet person. I know she has some mental illness. That's what I know too. But she was quiet, God-fearing person. Right, my neighbor. Didn't know that this would happen like this last night.
Now, it's not known what caused the fire. This is the third such incident involving senior citizens in 5 days in. And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
In the world of finance, the fortnightly report on the financial holdings of the Bank of Jamaica BOJ is showing healthy foreign reserves and local assets. Combined, they total $1.05 trillion. The report showed a $6 billion increase in cash in the economy amid the high shopping season when currency is usually in high demand. The recent data from the BOJ showed $743.4 billion in foreign reserves, $304 billion in local assets, and demand liabilities of $666.6 billion, including $204.3 billion worth of notes and coins in circulation. And a new report has revealed that the COVID-19 pandemic triggered a 71% drop in international flights in and out of UK in 2021. About 406,000 international flights operated from the UK compared to 1.3 million in 2019 before travel was restricted. Aviation analytics firm Cirium says UK domestic flights also fell by nearly 60%. Budget airline Ryanair remained the largest carrier in the UK with more than 100,000 UK flights in 2021. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's health report, we look at LASIK eye surgery.
It's a one-off procedure. You can have something called an enhancement. So let's say you have it done and you want 20/10 vision and your visual acuity is 20/40. So it's not quite as good as you want. Then you can actually have it enhanced, where it just apply a little bit more laser to alter the shape of the eye and improve your vision. So it doesn't have to be perfect the very first time you have it done. There is a range of persons who can have it done. I think it's about -8 to about +4 diopters of refractive error. So there is quite a wide range.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Wear sunglasses and a hat with a brim when outdoors to shield eyes from sunlight. Do not smoke and do not wear eye makeup.
And with the top regional and international stories, here's Sandy Williams.
In regional news, outgoing opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley says he intends to contest the January 19 general election next year, even though he is not yet clear as to whether he would be a candidate for the St. Michael West, where he served as legislator for over a decade. Atherley was among the victorious members of the Barbados Labour Party BLP that swept all 30 seats in the 2018 general election before deciding to cross the floor and become opposition leader. The BLP, led by Mia Motley, had defeated the then ruling Democratic Labour Party DLP in the historic vote. On Monday night, Prime Minister Mia Motley announced a snap general election with nomination day set for January 3. On the international scene, South Korea has reported a record high number of critically ill COVID-19 patients, with 1,151 patients in ICU as of Wednesday. South Korea's health ministry says the number of critically ill COVID-19 patients continue to increase despite the slowly reducing infection rate, with new daily cases recording lower than the previous week. On Wednesday, South Korea reported 5,409 new confirmed COVID-19 cases, according to Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency's data. As of Tuesday evening, the ICU bed occupancy rate in South Korea was 74.9%, leaving 348 beds available, according to the Health Ministry's data. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Renardo Brown will have the Midday Sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for your Midday Sports. The awards keep coming for Jamaican sprint 100, 200 and 4x100 meter gold at the Tokyo Olympics, and delivered a 10.54-second clocking at the Eugene Diamond League meet has already been named World Athletics Female Athlete of the Year, NACAC Female Athlete of the Year, and is favored to be the RGR Sportswoman of the Year for 2021. The AIPS Best Male Athlete of 2021 was won by Polish striker Robert Lewandowski. West Indies women all-rounder Hayley Matthews has been nominated for the ICC Women's One-Day International Player of the Year Award for 2021. Matthews ended the year with 380 runs in 14 matches at an average of 29.23 with 1 century and 1 half-century. She also picked up 18 wickets at an average of 22.44 and an economy rate of 3.33. The other nominees are Tommy Beaumont of England, South Africa's Lizelle Lee, and Fatima Sana of Pakistan. In basketball, starting at center for not only the 28 points, as the reigning champions, the Bucks outscored the Magic 127-110. In other games, Raptors lost 109-114 to the 76ers. The Heat defeated Wizards 119-112. Pelicans clipped Cavaliers 108-104. The Timberwolves went down 88-96 to the Knicks. And the Kings had a 117-111 win over OKC. Steph Curry was limited to just 23 points in the Golden State Warriors' 86-89 defeat to the Denver Nuggets. And in tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has. And finally, league leaders Manchester City will look to move to 9 points clear of Liverpool when they take on struggling Brentford City in one of 2 games in the English Premier League today. That starts at 3:15. Liverpool failed to make up ground on City on Tuesday as they went down 1-0 to Leicester City at the King Power Stadium. In the meantime, Chelsea could also move ahead of Liverpool on the table as they take on Brighton at 2:30. After 19 games, Manchester City lead the standing with 47 points, with Liverpool second on 41, the same as Chelsea. And that's it for your Midday Sports Report. Giovanni, it's back to you.
Thanks so much, Renardo. And Elaine Thompson here. Just how good a season did she have? She continues to reap dividends.
Look, double at the Olympic Games, 100, 200, plus you add the 4x100 meter, 10.54. Jordan said it before, new era.
New era, indeed. Well, that's it for the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.